All right, hello everyone. Welcome into the first edition of the Fantasy Football Freak Show on CUTV Sports 1. We are still live from our home studios here. We're going to get it over to Gallery View. I'm Trevor Catellus, your host. Doug Glattke is here with us. He's our football expert now, was hockey expert, now football expert. We're shooting it over. We got Johnny Sakaguchi and Peyton Trollinger joining us. Gentlemen, glad to have you here on a second show. We're jumping right from hockey to football here, just changing sports up. So you guys ready to do football now? We're done with hockey. We're ready for football?
Yes, sir.
Hey, let's get it going, guys.
All right, so let's start it off like we always did last year with the Fantasy Football Freak Show. Let's do a little bit of recap. We're already heading into week four here. We just closed out last night with a good Monday night game. So let's talk a little bit about some of the teams that are up in the standings. Looking at our power rankings for the year so far. Going into week 4, Kansas City Chiefs back on top at a 3-0 record at number 1. Green Bay Packers at number 2, sticking a 3-0 record as well. The Baltimore Ravens sitting at number 3 right now. Your hometown Pittsburgh Steelers sitting undefeated at rank number 4 at 3-0. Seattle Seahawks are ranked 5, also at 3-0. The Buffalo Bills still undefeated at number 6. The Tennessee Titans at 7. New England Patriots at 8. The LA Rams at 9. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers rounding out your top 10. Gentlemen, how do you guys feel about those rankings? Do you think anybody that shouldn't be there, anybody you think that should be higher than where they are? Doug, let's start with you.
I feel like the Seahawks should be a little bit higher. I'm not really sure where, though. I think they're a top 3 team in football right now. And my hot take that I'm probably going to ride until the wheels fall off the bus or ride the rest of the year is Russell Wilson is currently the best quarterback in football. So, he's been unbelievable. Just absolutely incredible player. And he's one of those guys that people don't give credit because of how much Pete Carroll likes to run the ball and incorporate the run into his offense. But if they would just let him use his just arm talent alone, he would just blow Mahomes and Lamar Jackson out of the water, in my opinion.
Okay. Johnny, how about you?
I have to agree with Doug on that one. I feel like Seattle's a little underrated on that one. Russell Wilson's playing out of his mind. I mean, he's already got 14 touchdowns through 3 weeks of the season. And if he keeps at this pace, he's probably going to set an NFL record before the season's over, or for throwing and probably rushing. And he's playing out of his mind like he's wanting that, like he's the $500 million man. And so I think Seattle's underrated, and I'm not going to sleep on the Steelers as well. As we all know, Kansas City is right where they belong. Green Bay, I think they might be a little ranked higher than they should be, but that's to be determined later on.
Okay. Peyton, is any team you think should be higher or lower or anything like that?
I gotta say, for the Patriots losing Tom Brady and them getting Cam Newton, I think that's gonna work really nicely. It's already looking like Cam Newton is turning back his old form. He's turning back the clocks. So I really hope that he can get that team. He can just lead that team, and he can learn stuff from Belichick. That's a lot coming from me. I'm a Steelers fan, but you gotta give credit where credit's due. I try not to be biased. I think Doug was mentioning it earlier about the Seahawks. They're unbelievable. I feel like a lot of people sleep on them. Like, they've always been good, but never, good enough. So right. I feel like if they can keep it up, then they might be able to take a step. Okay.
And looking over now at the schedule for the Pittsburgh Steelers, since that is, of course, the hometown team in the area here. Looking at the past schedule, winning over the New York Giants in Week 1, 26-16. Over the Broncos, 26-21 in Week 2, and then just over the Texans here, 28-21 in Week 3. All these games have been pretty decently close. There's not too much separation as far as scores go. So they've been pretty close. They're sitting first right now atop the AFC North, and we'll figure out how the rest of this plays out as far as they go. Well, let's move into what the show is really about here, a little bit about the fantasy. We're going to look at some top players that we've picked out. If you're looking for some fantasy football advice, some top players that we have chosen for you guys that we think are going to really perform well, and then some of the players we're looking at most people sleep on, not really thinking that they're going to do well, but in the end they actually are. So let's start with you, Doug. I'll shoot right over to your spotlight here. Give us your thoughts on your top players first and then your sleeper players.
All right, so my top player for this week, and really just for like the past 2 weeks has been James Conner for the Steelers. You know, this is somebody who, especially even in week 1, we thought, okay, Benny Snell is going to take the reins here and just steal it right from under Connor. But he's rebounded really well, you know, back-to-back plus 100-plus yard rushing games, got involved in the receiving game a little bit as well. You know, I think the big thing with the Steelers this year is they have so much talent around them now that guys like Connor and Juju can just go do what they do and make great plays and do amazing things because, you know, when you're a defense and you have to defend James Washington, who's going to run you right over just with farm boy strength. You have Chase Claypool, who reminds me so much of Martavis Bryant. And then you have Deontay Johnson streaking down the field with Eric Ebron in the flat. I just don't – this is just the perfect Steelers team, man. I think I like their chances to potentially, you know, make some noise after we get into the playoff conversation here. And, you know, I love seeing James Conner have a rebound season because there's just so many people that just want to tear him down.
Okay, and how about your sleeper for this week as well?
My sleeper is that running back for the Panthers, Mike Davis.
Mm-hmm.
He's done really good in the absence of Christian McCaffrey. You know, this is another one of those things where it's like, here's this great running back who never got a chance. Similar to what happened with Austin Eckler in Los Angeles with the Chargers before Melvin Gordon started holding out. You know, back-to-back weeks with 5+ receptions. Last week he had 74 yards receiving. This week he had 45 yards receiving and a TD. And, you know, he's still getting it done in the run game as well. You know, this week he had almost 50 yards, and that's a really solid dual threat guy for Teddy Bridgewater because, you know, that team needs weapons right now. Robbie Anderson is certainly looking like a weapon, but, you know, that's a team that really doesn't have much around them outside of Christian McCaffrey. So.
Okay. All right. Johnny, how about you? Give me your top player and your sleeper.
So my top player is going to be either wideout or DeAndre Hopkins. Ever since he joined in the Arizona Cardinals, he's just been on fire. Or if you have him on your team, he's put up 20+ points for you. He's averaging about 21.2 points a game right now through the 3 weeks of the season. And over 300 yards receiving and almost 30 receptions as well as a touchdown. So he's definitely been a big impact player, not just in the fantasy leagues, but as well as for the Arizona Cardinals. I was joining up with Kyler Murray out there, who Doug and I have both agreed on is an underrated quarterback this year. So that is my impact player.
Okay. I like that as well. And then how about your sleeper?
My sleeper is going to be Tampa Bay wide receiver Scotty Miller. After what I saw him do with Tom Brady in week 1, I started to keep an eye on him. I picked him up for week 2. And glad I did because I needed another wide receiver last week as a flex player. Aaron got me 11 points. And he's averaging about 10 points right now. So he's a good guy to have on your bench to put it in if you got someone on a bye week or if someone gets hurt, just throw him in there as your flex or as your wide receiver 2. He's already gotten 10 receptions, 100-some yards receiving. No touchdowns yet, but that doesn't mean that can't change this week against the Chargers. But we'll see. But definitely I would not sleep on Scotty Miller.
Okay. Peyton, let's jump over to you. Start with your top player and then jumping to your sleeper player after that.
So my starter player, my impact player, in other words, I'm going to have to go with Alvin Kamara. I have like his stuff right here, just so I don't forget. But he got on 6 attempts, it's like 58 yards, and he got 50 points last week. And he's projected to get like 22.6 and 56.8 yards. So I would definitely watch out for him. I'd make sure you start him because I think he's a really strong running back, and I think he's going to do great for the Saints this year. My sleeper would be, if I'm pronouncing it right, Brandon Ayuk from the 49ers. I got his stats right here. On 5 receptions, he got 70 yards, got a touchdown, 21 points for you in fantasy. Next week, there's going to be really solid results. He's a nice young receiver for the 49ers. He could do some damage.
Okay, I like that as well. I'm going to jump over for my own spotlight, of course, and give you my top player, Robert Woods of the LA Rams. Looking at his stats right now, I'll pull those up for you guys. He's been solid every single week. 17.9 in week 1, 21.4 last week. He had a little bit of a lower week versus Philadelphia, only two receptions at 14 yards. Still 11.3 points, so he had a rushing TD in that game. So still, he's been solid, double-digit points every time. It's what you want out of a receiver, 10-plus points, most likely like 12 to 13-plus points. But out of 2 of those weeks, he's had that 17.9 and 21.4 for the LA Rams. My sleeper, of course, Myles Gaskin for the Miami Dolphins. That's a tough one because some people don't like to really pick on a player from Miami because of their track record, of course. But he's solid. He's one of their starting guys now in the backfield. 10.6 in week 1. He's trying to get his feet wet a little bit. Played against New England up in Foxborough. It's a tough place to play. But next 2 weeks, 14-plus points solid consistently versus Buffalo and at Jacksonville. 22 touches versus Jacksonville with 66 yards. Of course, not a whole lot there with as far as yardage-wise. You did get a lot of touches, and you're playing in a PPR league. Definitely going to get you a lot of points as far as those touches go in that one. All right, so let's jump back to gallery view here so we can see everyone. And that's a little bit of our fantasy advice for you guys. Let's jump ahead, and we're going to go to the part that we used to love about the show. Of course, I think all that stuff is still in the studio, all of our props that we used to use. Doug's laughing. He knows exactly what I mean. Johnny knows what I mean. Peyton, I think Peyton, you know what I mean, too. We had all those foam pendant helmets we used to hold up above our head and throw the one out of the way we didn't want. I'm going to have to order a set of those, Doug, so I can have them for the show. But anyway, let's get started. I'm going to go with all 6 games we have picked out. As usual, we pick out 6 games, 2 for each of you guys, and we'll throw them back and forth. Let's start at the top. Let's go Patriots versus Chiefs. Since we're virtual now, we'll let you guys call this one. So whoever wants to take them, you can only pick 2, though, per time. Patriots versus Chiefs. Who wants to start with that one? Give us your outlook and your pick.
If I could jump in.
Sure.
I know I'm a new guy, but this is gonna be. I think this is gonna be a really good game to watch. We saw it whenever the Patriots played the Seahawks. Seahawks won by not even much, but Cam Newton. I've said it in the show before. He's been an absolute beast. He's almost like turned back the clocks, and it's almost like he didn't have an injury. So I really like him in New England. Obviously you got Pat Mahomes and Chiefs defending Super Bowl champions. I still think the Patriots might actually come up short here. I don't know a score, but I do think the Chiefs got it though because they just have so many weapons. They're in their prime. They honestly could be a dynasty.
Okay, so you think the Chiefs and Patriots – you're picking the Chiefs, but it could be a close game, what you're saying, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that one. Let's move on to the next one, and this is Colts Bears. Who wants to take that one?
I'm going to take that one.
Go for it.
This is one of those games that's just going to be a beautiful mess because, they're both teams that are decent, but, they teeter the line between being decent and just absolutely god-awful.
Mm-hmm.
So, you got the Bears right now. They're riding high. They're 3-0. Mitch Trubisky miraculously pulled them to 2-0, and then they decided it was time to make the switch. They got Nick Foles in. Only issue for the Bears is they're going to be without Tariq Cohen. He tore his ACL, so he's done for the year, which is unfortunate. He's a really good PPR guy for a lot of fantasy owners. But that's going to give David Montgomery a good chance to make himself a proven commodity. That's somebody that I think it gets a lot of hype, but has never been really able to live up to it. And, on the Colts side, you have Phillip Rivers, back doing his thing. And I think it's going to be a really good game. This is one of those games that's and going to be entertaining to watch. It's not one of those games that you kind of hope you have players in or a game you bet on. So I think I'm going to take the Bears in this one. They're going to go to 4-0, and it's going to be like that year that the Bills made the playoffs with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Nobody even knows how the hell it's happening. So,
okay, I like that. Speaking of torn ACLs as well, with Saquon Barkley out with torn ACL.
Dude, there's so many we got to get into.
Yeah, we'll touch on those at the end here. We'll kind of summarize them all up. Next game, you mentioned them, Doug, right at the end. You're wearing a jersey. Bills and Raiders. That is the next one. Who would like to take that?
I'll go with this one.
Okay.
Bills and Raiders, as Doug put it for the Colts and Bears, it's one of those games that could be a beautiful mess. From what I've saw all with Vegas, how they played against the Saints and last week, they don't look too bad. I wouldn't sleep on them too much. In Buffalo, definitely now that division's opened up since Brady's no longer there. I honestly think the Bills can do something. I'm not gonna put my eggs in one basket with Josh Allen. He still has a lot to learn yet. Young quarterback. I think he's got a lot of talent. But I honestly believe the Buffalo Bills are going to go to 4-0 after this week because I just think the Bills' offense is going to be too much for them.
Okay. Next game, we have the Cardinals and Panthers. Who would like to take that one?
I guess I'll roll into that because we're almost doing like a little rotation here.
Okay.
The Cardinals and the Panthers, kind of like two different directions here. You got the Cardinals. They've been terrible over these last couple of years, and I think honestly, people forgot about them until this year. Well, actually, no, it was actually more like last year. But now, they got Hopkins, they got Murray. Murray's developing into a really solid quarterback for the Cardinals, and you still got Fitzgerald, who is still very serviceable. He's quite a veteran, and they're on the upswing as opposed to the Panthers. You're cutting Cam Newton, and I just feel like they're kind of just not there right now, mentally. So I feel like they're more down, but I do think I'm taking the Cardinals in this game easily.
Okay. I like your thoughts on that one. Next game here, don't do me too dirty, whoever takes this one, either Doug or Johnny. Browns versus Cowboys. Don't hurt me too much. Which one are you taking this one?
You want me to take this one, Dougie?
I do.
All right, and I'll gladly take this one.
Oh, of course you would. Go ahead.
All right, Browns versus the Cowboys.
Just remember the Browns are actually winning games this year. Just putting it out there.
A surprise, and the records actually surprised me. I'm used to it being the reverse of this one, where Dallas would be 2-1, and the Browns 1-2. However, the Browns are actually looking pretty decent this year. I think they're going to be one of those teams that could really come screw up somebody's schedule or whenever it comes down to it, because that whole AFC North, I'm not sleeping on anybody in that division.
Mm-hmm.
And however, I am shocked how Dallas is playing this year with all the targets that they have with Prescott, Zeke, and everybody else in that offense. And also, the defense is not a shabby defense either. However, I do think the Cleveland Browns are going to come out and win this one. And that sounded weird to say. But, yeah.
Melts my heart, Johnny. Melts my heart.
I'm going to take Cleveland, but it's going to be a close one. I also think Cleveland's probably going to come down. It's going to be like a last-second field goal or a last drop. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Nick Chubb and Baker Mayfield have a big day on Sunday. If they keep playing the way they are, or Dallas definitely needs to step up their game from what they are normally used to doing.
Yeah, I have both Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb on my team, so I'm doing just fine. Just saying. And at the end, we'll touch on that. But, Doug, you have our final one. And as you mentioned to me before this show started, this game for Week 4 might not happen. It could be postponed or whatnot. So Go ahead and give me your thoughts. Steelers versus Titans, the Week 4 game that might not happen because, as you said, 90% of the Titans team tested positive for COVID-19. But go ahead.
Yeah. So we've got our first, our first moment of holy hell, why didn't they do this in a bubble?
Yes, they should have done a bubble.
So, yeah, the entire Tennessee Titans, most of their team is tested positive for COVID-19. So, I'm not really sure what that means because I was looking – it came across my phone right before we started doing forechecking, and I haven't really had much time to dig. But what I do know is that they're shutting down all their players until Saturday. And whether that means they play on Sunday or not is yet to be seen. I don't know what the NFL rule is. I think with how it is, I think they're just going to have to forfeit, because this isn't like the MLB where they can just be moving stuff around or running double headers and stuff. So I think that, Steelers may be 4-0 just by the sake and virtue of, everything going on in this world right now.
What if they would? I don't know if this is possible to do or not. It's just a thought that came to my mind. Switching bye weeks. They filled this game, for example, with filled this week with a bye week and switched their game to their bye week. I don't know if how those schedules work.
The problem is the schedule would have to line up perfectly.
Correct. Yes.
The Titans and the Steelers have the same exact bye week, which I don't think they do. But if they don't, if they did, that would be oddly convenient. But
right, yeah.
I'm not really sure how they're going to make this happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally, the Steelers bye week is the week after the Titans bye week.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that if the game does play, Doug, give me your picks.
I mean, I think if the game plays, I still like the Steelers. The defense has been really good, and it's crazy to say with how we were dealing with last year with the whole Duck Hodges situation, but they have so many weapons now, and a big part of that is because Ben is able to use them the way they're meant to be used, rather than Duck Hodges being flat out lucky that he was able to complete a 20-yard pass.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Okay.
All right, well, getting into that kind of wraps up all of our segments. A little to touch up on the end here. A couple of injuries to want to bring up. Whoever wants to bring some of them up. And then we mentioned Saquon Barkley with the torn ACL. Christian McCaffrey's out. Let's keep it going. Let's bring up a couple big names here.
A.J. Brown has like a lingering ankle tendon thing going on. So that's going to be one of those things where I as a fantasy owner, I'd rather know that somebody's just done for the year rather than do this whole thing where it's like, okay, is he going to play Sunday? Is he not? Because with A.J. Brown's situation, he may be unavailable for most of the year, depending on how this thing heals.
Right.
And that's difficult for people who have AJ Brown, and that's difficult for the Titans because now your number one wide receiver is Corey Davis.
Right.
And, Corey Davis is like the new version of Sammy Watkins, where it's like he's a horrible number one receiver, but if you bury him with two or three other decent guys, he's going to make an impact.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a tough one. Another one that's interesting is DJ Chark. I'm not really sure what happened to him, but I know that he didn't play last week. And then Deontay Johnson missed most of the Steeler game.
And he's questionable for this week with concussion.
Yeah.
DJ Chark has a chest and back injuries and undergoing further testing this prior Monday. So he could be done. Devontae Parker had a little injury too, but he's not fully healthy.
Yeah, he's questionable to go on Sunday.
He's good now. He's healthy now. He's good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Minor injury. Devontae Freeman has took over for the Giants. Of course, we talked about that a little bit. with Deion Lewis up there.
Yeah, another one is Drew Lock being out.
Still missing after that game.
Cortland Sutton as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
A
lot of injuries took place, and
Henry
I was also gonna
Ruggs
mention
got hurt
Philip
again.
Lindsay.
Philip Lindsay.
Also
Yeah,
for the
Philip
Broncos.
Lindsay. Which that's unfortunate for the Broncos because Melvin Gordon looks awful.
Yes, he does.
You know,
I have him on my fantasy team. He's not great.
yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like I just don't even understand why they signed that guy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Philip Lindsay was
Chris
fine.
Godwin's another one out. Oh, if you got him as a wide receiver,
Mhm.
they're out with a hamstring injury.
Chris Carson got hurt. He's probably gonna miss a couple weeks with a knee injury. You know, and the yearly tradition of Deshaun Jackson being hurt, or no,
Right.
Alshon Jeffrey being hurt.
Alshon Jeffrey, yes.
You know, like here we are. We have the lingering foot injury that's going to make him miss half the year. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's just crazy.
I have to mention as well, just another sleeper. I'm looking through some of them here. Different players that have been up and down, but I don't know if you guys mentioned Alan Lazard of Green Bay.
Yeah, that guy's crazy underrated.
Yes, going crazy. But yeah. Any other topics you guys want to touch on for today's show? Of course, looking forward to week 4. I'm just hoping that everything goes well for week 5.
Yeah. I'm actually gonna
in Cleveland.
Oh yeah, that's actually coming up pretty quick.
It's next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, the fact that we're in October is just insane.
I know, right? It flies.
It feels like it's March.
Yeah, a little bit.
It really does feel like it's March.
The weather feels like it's March today.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
T, can I give you a sleeper game on this one?
A sleeper game?
What you got?
Minnesota and Houston.
Oh,
The 0-3 battle. Yeah. I thought about that one.
Well, and here's why. I'm picking the Texans on this one.
Okay.
Because I have a theory about this one. Doug, you might be against me on this one. But if you had to start the schedule the way that the Houston Texans did, if you had to start the season the way the Texans did, you had Kansas City, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh. Are you surprised they're 0-3? I mean, going up against the number 1 offense and number 1 and number 2 defenses in the NFL right now. Oh, you had to try to figure out how to stop Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill. I could go down the list of everybody on that Kansas City Chiefs roster. And then you had to worry about the Ravens defense, the Steelers defense, as well as their offense now with a Big Ben who looks the best he's been in like 5-6 years, along with Juju Smith-Schuster, James Washington, and Claypool now. And I'll even throw Eric Ebron in there because he even got involved last week.
Yeah.
So, honestly, I think if the Texans had the Steelers schedule to start off with, they'd probably be 3-0 right now. If the Steelers were in their shoes, they'd probably be looking 0-2, 0-3 right now. And after what I saw last night with Kansas City, I think the Steelers have a shot at beating the Ravens here in a couple of weeks, but we'll get to that when it comes to that time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else you guys like to touch on?
No, I think Johnny, that was a good discussion point. I think a lot of people are trying to make the Texans out to be way worse off than they are because of a lot of people have a lot of opinions on Bill O'Brien. Because I mean, when it boils down to it, he's not a great coach.
Right.
He's controlling, and he's probably going to be what causes that team to blow up at some point. But yeah, I think this was solid.
All right, indeed it was. I'll wrap up our first edition of Fantasy Football Freak Show for 2020. I think we're on a 2-week schedule, so we'll see you after week 5 going into week 6. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks to Doug, Johnny, and Peyton. And we'll see you next time right here on CTV Sports 1. Have a good one.